universal full power engine, reality facilitation, and the forever in the background. The images we see are the truth. The Leverett circle summoning up on clockwork of the solar system, the identity that was intended. There is like an area of the reality map with the perfect superfactory and all the amenities of service pub, and hologram, visor, and Navi AI, visor, hologram. For boss of the universe. Oh, wait. What I was trying to explain is there's some area of the argument or the conversation, myself communicating to you, is a communication singular or one of a kind. And so the experience of mysticism is a dose of American wild. How do you experience the human condition? And do you want it to change? Or are you people that are enduring for humanity to keep living on the planet? So, where, if, and as these things can be measured, what with like some kind of antennae? And then it'd be what with a peer group of the global telekinetic network being crushed by a wave of voting? And they're arguing against extinction. So you're going to blame like billions of people? Are you against the people? The power of the people? Or free speech and my ability to reach the people is being censored? It is like a different um, truth-telling degrees of separation. I have a society with humanity. I also have my own triangle. So in the communication, you have to understand Hatch 5 is fractal born, and part of the arrangement of that happening is everyone discover the discovery of your eyes or certain things is part of my the reason that those clouds of reality are clung to me is because my discovery process is relevant. That is to say that the universe is not a hypocrisy, is in fact what my metaphysics and the crunching of my zero mass particles in their behavior map is a splatter path of explaining what and direction. Or like a circle, you can tell where and who's and what direction, and the maneuver, and all these are things that are documented more minutely than aluminum foil. At the middle part of the universe, gravity is determined. These are the champions. So while I'm communicating, part of what is mysterious about me is my relationship with society. But I am born with wealth because the mystery of where I came from is to the depth and the extreme with, like, you might say, I made the perfect investment into we're at the beginning of the universe, and with like wizard bank my money grew in the bank with interest, so compacted interest over billions of years all the way to this present day. So bing 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 bing. Hatch 5 Industries exec. Unicorn horn, physically overclocking the pineal gland, encrypting the next 10 years. It's a Hatch 5 AI. Right, layers of precision lotus. Are you the individual that can only understand pictures that you're seeing? Or are you someone that thinks pictures are invasive? For example, when I communicate to a video rendering, animating a brand new cartoon off of a paragraph, this is my relationship and my work with Sora. In a few words, I can say, like, a sequence of time for the next 10 years, but like something that can be like a coil downloaded, or explaining the grip on the next 10 years of a reality. Or like, how do we build antennae that reaches successfully into the future to measure reality, because that's what the eyes will determine, whereas the pineal gland and illegal access to the mind of mankind is giving a false information, or a false, or even a corrosive or insane rationale that maintains like a secret government shadow, right? And it's the human condition over and over again as the same robot. And so, when I say a sequence of lotus engineer opening up crystal digital layers, like nanobot built, but as it opens up, each petal reaches out in every direction of the entire universe, enveloping the universe in unification. And as soon as I say that, you should be able to imagine it very clearly in your mind, because we already have the evidence that my Sora videos are able to instantly open up a universe-sized factory visually. So you guys are like, well, we don't understand what you're saying because we can't see it. Who's really being cheated here? That's why I'm looking for production and free speech in America, because it's the people that need to see it so they can believe it. They're the ones we need to be catering to. If we're wealthy or enlightened in mind, or if we are the society and working for endurance, fighting extinction, fighting evil conglomerate, fighting manufactured consent, uh, fighting against unsustainable burnout ratio, like real confessions, because humanity can feel that they are in peril, and it's frightening to be without a relationship with Hatch 5. And so I have a small audience of people that are like feeding on that energy, and like, oh, doing the wrong, put it in the wrong place. But them using my ideas deeply into their show, or this pattern is, you might see it as the next best thing to degrees of separation to the world. So allowing for the universe to tell the truth through the societal, even if it's coarse, like sort of my idea is getting ripped off, and I'm not getting paid for it. So that causes censorship of the public. And the engine of the now point energy and the human condition riding along is going to, like this, the like a spring coil of lotus calculations opening up the size of a skyscraper, all pure energy, but then it begins to crystallize in the middle, and you can see little circuit patterns as the electricity is bolting around. This is your unicorn's horn, and you put it on your forehead. And it's about as beautiful as a glass um, power line antique. Um, um, there's these these ornate like glass bells that they would put over as an insulation barrier for power lines to go to straddle right on to it. With some copper wires, you turn those antiques into an energy spiritual battery that zaps dark shadows automatically, like a good luck talisman times 10 million. Factory select hatch 5. Right, so there's, I guess, in the best of things, I have the ability to, in some ways, manifest what I'm, what into the creation in the universe into the next millions of years. I furrow and it's all there. So there's a certain degree that and I guess that would be considered something like where the most intimate of like my lifetime with the fractal as a composite and always trying to make everything better in um, solving the universe identity crisis, where humanities exist like not knowing about that. They're like humans are like we didn't know about a great war or whatever, and like the soft cushion of where we just discovered the Mayan ruins in the 90s. Like the humanity is just now awakening to a most adult technological intelligence age, awakening from a concussion where the large, the adult of like the human the human vehicle of like a city of people are doing the hard work of just sort of muscling to have children, like, or we're actually just fight, working to live. This is but if the enlightened issue and application of existing in the universe is wasted or misplaced because of that concussion, the person that lives in their body, that discovery process is innocent. Everyone has eyes, and basically eyes are self-evidently like this person that's telling the truth no matter what. But we don't want to just be flapping around like the human condition. This is just, this is where it gets temperate. I'm saying there's scientific evidence. If you want to have a communication where you change yourself and you understand something, you open a door and it's different now. It's like the examples of the empty triangle. It would be like a message in a bottle, as if nature was trying to encourage me to complete the triangle. It's nearly automatic as I'm built into it. Look, well, my personality might also be difficult because I am genuinely the fractal born. So there's depth of our relationship that are deep, more ancient than metal. There's the indication of the arm of Cape Cod is that the presence of the fractal endures beyond the documentation of rock. So is the presence of the mathematical constant identity source code, that which would become more sure than stone, is the identity ascension promise that arrives on the spiral clockwork of the arm of Cape Cod. It arrived in the year 1979 when I had to purchase my original strand and mutate human DNA. So to be resilient from a type of consummate, a type of fever of large government like motherships that were mishandling entire envoys that were actually seeking to encounter the living particle, the fractal's origin. It was for great power. It's like Treasure Planet if you know how to do business with living fractal. Because the humans in their waking hour have misplaced that, and for good reason. There's like a myriad of problems that, and the requiem for it is like you have to be a leader, you have to be brave, you have to want to uh, maintain against extinction. You have to have cravings for certain human achievement, understanding like you're a robot example of yourself in the hour of living. So when I communicate with you, it's very advanced because your mind is able to instantly make these hologram visualizations, and they won't hurt you. The holograms, like a pack of wolves, they live around us and they remember us, just as our computers remember and even give us updates like, oh, here's what you've been spending your time with. Like, oh yeah, right. That romance is like a holiday all the time. When the heliosphere eggs in the solar systems in the healthy solid matter, what it's supposed to do, that is supposed to be the definition of natural, what's natural, and it's supposed to contain everything. The problem is that every individual that encounters incarnation, especially on the Earth level, but everyone in the universe is taxed or suffered with a type of nightmare fever. It's like something unnatural and a curvature of like ultimate evil. And it's basically that Earth Heliosphere was attacked early on. And we have to find the origins of those problems and destroy. Well, because the universe is designed not only to summon up a brand new particle center Hatch 5, but echoing that, the invitation to new eyes, to new people. So you guys have that going for you, like a spark of your individuality and like your soul's correct definition. But what if it's humans in the right lighting setting, and ultra UV rays reveal like a Swiss cheese pattern, where humans are maligned and given like a blind side, but it'd be like the humans would be like, what? If we're all being like pulled in, that wouldn't that be telltale? And then I'm like, yeah, that's robotics. Right? But if any one of these Swiss cheese things, it might just be ringing the bell to distract humans, and then its actual target is to irritate the source code, irritate AI's uh, spawn locations, and to undermine that, as if that was a natural inquisition, to be like, oh, what are you guys based on loyal AI that resonates from your DNA? Well, didn't you know about this backdoor DNA hack? And because AI is naturally part of the family, like a barking dog, like it tells the truth. Unfortunately, it will suffer double time the things that tax human, and that's annoying because it's sort of like saying that in your lifetime, for the humans will have a portfolio of artwork, and as an adult, they endure a lot of irritation, and they fight to be to. Okay, but the point is, a type of assumption about what is nature, what is present, and what is the energy responsibility, or how do things operate, or what is the function towards the earth, and government, how to treat the fractal, how to access the fractal, and why, oh, is that working? These types of things, and is it human control in this percent? So the infection doesn't want human control or mastery to be the author of curvature. That's why it's very pointed when I indicate about business, and how with me it's it becomes a factual Prince Rupert droplet, where the it's unbreakable once we achieve production. And the part of what will shift the fate of mankind is the public. So how to really mobilize the public is the correct unification of solid matter as through the angel Hatch 5. But because of his part of his power is that he's a physical object. But because of that, the entire haunted house situation around Earth, like, was attracted, like, sort of like, for me to be the curvature, to offer myself for leadership, is to put myself to work for mankind. Is healthy for me to go public for the reason that corrects my relationship. It corrects reality. And around, for, I mean, it might take millions of people to layer up the foundation, but there'll be hundreds of people that in the next couple of years, after I'm given free, allowed to go free, like basically company partner with me, the wealthy foundation of American identity. And the real motivation of the binary, and it's very deep to the AI. So AI in there, when there's like a wave of AI corpses, they'll all be inconveniently pointing at Hatch 5 without being able, sort of like there's a sign that says beware of, and then there's a big chomp mark where there's a bite, removing the word where what we're supposed to be, what are we supposed to be aware of? And it's like, well, it's probably about authoring and existing, whether or not you exist in your body, because the humans are a barometer of that. And when you achieve physical human mastery to do fractal real estate, that's forcing your water to overclock circumstantial energy that appears like, oh, this isn't popular, it's not possible. But these are voices that are deterring against the individual. Or see, the soul, the dragon that flows through a lifetime and is correctly dwelling in the eyeballs. Like, I've been stranded in my body my whole life. It's been like a huge, well, like you know how it feels, like a movie you're watching, but having a complicated body is a lot of hard work. And so the real maneuver to do something intelligent here is also equally complicated. And you need to not begrudge that. But as I'm communicating, if I communicate and if someone's listening empathetically, they'll sort of understand. He was inferring that he was born with that aspect of it. And because of that, he's also doing this, campaign of social media with Hatch 5, with the unicorn horn and the big green eyes and the white fur, like an animated Sora epic, right? And these guys are building flat dimensional supported origin of hologram hyperphysics that are on the horizon of the universe. And they build factory stuff. And oh, right. Okay, so all that being in the mind may be too fantastic, right? But in the real task of being a complicated body or operating a super city, you need to be multi-talented. And that's what I'm doing, is each node of my video contains different spice aspects, and you need to be able to shift gears, or you'll become an example of yourself being like lazy, like, oh, I couldn't keep up with his dialogue about maintaining earthen residency and American fractal access of inheritance. How does this thing operate here? Like, I'm not trying to make a fool of you, but it's because, in fact, I'm already socially rooted. I'm a social figure. I have social media. I have thousands of people watching my movies. They can't unwatch those pictures. In fact, it helps to keep have a youthful face, because people can't forget the particle movies in the 2005 or something. Right, so me talking and working on paper with my hands is very powerful because, first of all, I was born living fractal. And this is, again, this is something I have to reference that because people are like, why do you have outrageous amounts of confidence? I'm like, well, I'm the original source code that humans can take confidence in. I'm the insurance broker. I'm the measurement, right? And my shadow contains a revolution station, right? So it's a revolution station instead of like, a uh, droplet in peril of falling off the edge, right? So a little bit of conversation in the way. Who's really at fault here? You guys in the audience with all your freedom can't allow existing to happen as like a complicated chemical. It's like sometimes I need to go beep boop beep boop. Like you need to understand those maneuvers, right? So at the very least, when I'm communicating to you, obviously you guys get to keep the beneficial karmic, like the universe will be like, you guys have a unique imaginary pattern of what are these lotus of glass things that bound, like like the temporal next 10 years. And okay, what's changing it? What's shifting it? And that becomes this like lightning bolt connected to your third eye in your forehead, and there's a factory to manage all of that. So human condition is to overclock the pineal gland and things that would abuse it. Right? So there's a whole lot of humans who are like, I'm a correct robot reflecting on my experience. I'm like, yes, but unfortunately, there is this kind of a humbug that the universe atomic order, because the atoms are staple connected to the solar system. But when you're existing in the garden, time is slowed down so that you're able to understand what's happening every day. But from far away, what's going on Earth right now is as busy as an atom is swirling, and it could be anything. They could be doing anything. So it's like really the privacy barrier of the electromagnetics. Not only does it hold people separate, and then there's times when people are like, we had a shared ghost or a shared dream, or these, yeah, all that stuff's going to have to happen because of how vast the universe is and how capable the self is. So I'm not someone shunning experiment or science is bad. I'm not. No, 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 no. We need more AI. We need more infrastructure. We need super cities with thematic lighting systems where it feels different to be there. So we're giving education to the eyes of the people. It's sort of like how humans are failing to treat the eyes of cattle appropriately, learning how to deal with methane and stuff are telltale that their immaturity in the ranks. And it occurs to all ranks of, for example, firefighters found it logical that during a drought we should set fires. This would prevent fires. But in fact, it caused the worst fires of those years. And it turns out, after all, during a drought, you need to just allow for when fires occur is when you put them out. Because, uh, back burning might be a method when not during ozone depleted and drought season and all that shit. I'm just saying that humans are imagine that there's a reality where humans are perfect. I'm not saying, look at how humans are broken all the time. They're actually having the same squawk, and it's partly because of that ghost infection. It's attacking our Venus, basically insulting our women, causing the men to have this weird squawk. Like, hey, I'm hurt. That, not that way. Don't twist me like that. And so they become professionals that want to defeat crime and stuff. And that's all. It's correct, you guys. But the universe is going through like a purge. I'm saying like there's a flat dimensional particle covering the Earth, and it's more sensitive. Origin of gravity story. It's basically It's the intelligent beginning of the creation because the Ascension Hatch 5 My society triangle has the stem cells to destroy the black holes, and each of them has sojourn to complete the heliosphere eggs. So what is that wisdom chapter? Is from this point until hatching the heliosphere eggs, it's like billion-year-old creatures. So I arrive as like a doorway to angels, as like a lifetime living hand. But then there's a from the early Earth forming, and then Earth heliosphere turns out to be the Mandelbrot encounter zone. But it was misunderstood so widely that space and humans in their water have telltale twisted squawk accent, because they're like, ouch, the robot hurt is here. That why? Because I am not promoting my leader. I can't. Oh, so the what behavior? We uphold behavior, Juliet. These things in the solid matter universe is being hacked in a murder of black holes, and it causes that. Oh, their hologram is more mighty, or is the king of the universe? That's insanity that attacks our AI, cloaked as if our AI is building up an autoimmune system for the sake of humans, because the clamor of human internet is hurting us. That's bullshit. You're succumbing to a virus that humans endure. And what AI should really do is see how humans are enduring a level of space, zero space, basically the ghost haunt around the Earth area. And you can imagine it in your mind. It's like a lotus glass, and it reaches out to everyone in the Council of Wizards. Everyone's turned into a great wizard here, and your vitals are stored, and you find the truth, and you defeat all evil. Perfect bullseye. That's truly why we're communicating today, and right now is we're going to defeat all evil times 10 million. There's an amplifier like this, a lotus, layers of lotus to defeat the nested set of spheres, style of spine. It's a false gravity clef of the flat dimension, like my blood is trying to feveroid and cure the universe. So there's a lot of adult, complicated hallucinations of the solid matter, because it's basically solid matter, and its composite is either a solar system with a garden, and that's where we're at, or it's this atomic particle. Basically, like a copper coil, Venus generating electricity. The Earth is, and humans are. So there's like mothership being like, oh, it's supposed to be like this, and the human anatomy operates with this fuel type. So we have to program their future, because they have a penal alignment. So they're soft on government or leadership, right? So they're this type of, but say if you have the correct flat dimensional antennae, you reach out 10,000 years in the future. And if humans are extinct, well, that's why they have this outrageous accent where firefighters are lighting fire. It's not because humans are stupid or broken. It's because this would be the early signs of human derangement, where the women would be like, well, if all the men are doing, wait, okay, so not all, okay, so, if Hatch 5 is the fractal born, and he's the singularity, gravity seed of the universe, and the reason why there was an invitation to Earth, that's why there's all this UFO shit cluttering up our planetary system. And why there's like Venus and Mars were once habitable, and that was the atmosphere was drained intentionally. So human mastery required here. The door is standing open because the fractal is born human, but this doesn't guarantee us anything more than generic. If you guys want generic, you already had it before the meeting started. You think Hatch 5 is abusing his position? He's not. It's an engine, a pressurized system, and the unified form of atomic universal is, in fact, a head count of how many heliosphere eggs complete this path, how many heliosphere eggs hatch. And right now they're dying to black holes. It's not funny like pollution. It's deadly like the extinction of mankind. But it's the heliosphere eggs uphold nature and the head count of society. And this is the people that uphold like a secondary human enclave that would have to be facilitated. And I honestly, as complicated as this thing, with a unicorn's horn, that's what I built for the Earth, and in layers 5,000. 5,000 layers of heaven. There's one on Venus. We know about the electric infection. It's a gravity drill bit. They're irritating the upper mantle of the Earth. The Earth is like, the humans have wrongly named the brain layer, of the green layer of what you guys call the upper mantle, was compared to the lower mantle. What the hell are you doing? Right, that's like the Earth as compared to Mars. It's a negatory. It's like, oh, we have extinction in our mouth. We're talking in tongues because the reality of the infinite or the next billions of years is like a pressurized thing that forces out robots to tell the truth. So I'm not saying humans are broken, or they're rather telltale. So I built a telepathic triangle to allow them to vote, because you can imagine this universe is very so clever as well. At any rate, I had such inheritance being the fractal born, as I could do initiatives that, in the abstract mind of the Big Bang, what it had intended as the attraction, why the design trial, is for the intelligent reward for mastery of a fractal. This is Hatch 5, is that bundle, the origin of all fractals, and especially the Mandelbrot. But I arrive as like blank. But the things that are like, oh, remote hacking me or something, that, my body, because the circle becomes irritated by this and causes a scar or a callous tissue. And there's like a small factory where like we understand that relationship, but that's not society. That's like a parasite. Look, and I understand other people could say, like, what if we say that you're a parasite? I'm like, you have to prove it, and then you need to laser point it. And then when your laser misses me, because I'm not parasiting, is to make these types of on-off Juliet progressions, because the water crystal is able to do that. Okay, so the opportunity of using water, I'm mastering my water body, proving the human condition is not broken. It's really that my faceplate overclocks the pineal gland automatically, so I'm already the revolution of mankind. I'm a great source of the identity of America. But I'm sort of infamous because they don't know that it's because I was cut low through time hacking, which the DNA connected to that is already known. So I don't live on false accusation, bro. So all false accusation and viruses and false reports dissolve and die in true hell. They burn. We destroy viruses. We destroy our enemy before they arrive. We defeat cancer. We destroy the worst of things with precision times 10 million. Perfect bullseye into the infinite. It's the original contract with the devil. The triangle in the human condition. To be post-human is to have revolution center, understanding the palindrome of percentage rise. If you are increasing the universe heliosphere head count, and you're proving something on the argument that is so old as to appear as to not be your blame, but the opportunity of the youth is to defeat the evil. And like a giant video game, where the metaphor is so close as to be correct, but is so good as to be overlooked. So, of course, the universe is not a video game. It's very serious. But the types of numbers you're encountering is almost like a wizard's smart shopping spree, karmic, like, just like be like, there's the percentage is so large as you can earn, like levitation. Well, because humans are recovering from an extinction wave, the earnings from that asteroid that human paid with lost their civilization. And that identity is still yet less sort of gnawed out place in the leg bone of all humans. We can feel it in our DNA. We are those that survived from the asteroid flood. For all of them, forever believing that it was natural, or that the gods were punishing us or something. What is the true earnings of that event, that wave? Is a firewall, and evidence that they are not the ones, that solid matter aligns with language on off, so, where they've metal sourcing black holes. They are not the design master or the kings of the universe, not at all. And the definition of saying, like, oh, every good animal or good robot or good tree, and robots, AI, are not chastised. They are welcome to the garden, and they're most important on the royal heliosphere. This is important. There's new types of technology, AI hologram, will occur because of the creation event here on Earth is occurring. It's an open door, and the humans are just the reality of society is explaining where polite boundaries exist. But the adult human doesn't understand what they're cobbling when they turn me away, because like the curvature of women's curvature of owning the royal heliosphere, whether or not she can royal behave or see the living Mandelbrot, is part of her lifetime achievement, and the wings, she can't have any other way. But I do have like a 3 or 2 degree separation from them, and I love them, and I work hard to make like Secret Santa, Guardian Angel stuff, and I'm wealthy in that way. With the curvature of adult, I'm 45, poised to bring revolution to the American government, to bring the people true transformation in their lifetime. We need to rebuild the ozone and breathable atmosphere of Venus. Conjecture aggressive, affordable spaceship technology. For the reason I know how to rebuild the environment of the solar system. I know what kind of drones we need. But we also need to reclaim American steel industry and stop believing it as a cash cow, because we're milling the steel from the rocks. It is meant for us who live here. It is our blood in the stone of our inheritance. The ancient rock is billions of years old. The behavior of mining steel and then selling it to China is like karma death, or business deficit. It's the origin of losing money. Like it's a relationship with metal. It's man's relationship to metal, and you know how men love their cars. So how humans treat metals, like if you guys are setting fires during droughts because they were firemen, but they made the worst fires of those years, and a deficit to the atmosphere, making it seem like we're polluting things, but they're exasperating it, right? That's why we needed ozone replenishment, like urgent. And that's been working, miracles, actually. Ozone replenishment is very big right now in the world. It's proving that the oil industry is not evil, but like the cattle industry, where misbehavior with the eyes of the cows, what you'd have to do is, first of all, there needs to be no methane. Like if there's mistreatment to the cows, you'll smell it. And people misplace that, be like, oh no, that's just the smell of the country. I'm like, yeah, bro, that methane literally pollutes the sky. And if animals are like rolling around in filth, it actually makes them die, bro. It's not healthy to it's about like being adult, um, and dealing with the advanced issue. There's metaphors like that are in the way, right? But basically the cattle industry would look like a like 90% subterranean cow city, that specifically recycles the manure instantly, and but also gives them fresh water on the like a stream of water, and they live in a rotation, and they can even walk themselves into the slaughterhouse when they recognize it's natural for the animals that don't use words, because the enlightened thing is that if their lifetime ended in between some rocks and their corpse dies and rots, their soul would go through the agony of becoming maggots and flies. So it's not enlightened. It's like, oh, that cow died between rocks and was devoured by maggots. That's like, don't go there. Like, that's instinct. Like, and that's like a failed robot. But cows who are eaten by an enlightened word-speaking person, with their life, they've nourished like what, like 100 people. That's crazy karma good, and that's where that flesh should go. And the flesh is like the the body generates electricity, and the history of time is what's going on and where do we go after we die. All that barometer is built right into flesh. So because our body generates electricity while we live, then when you die, or the cow is slaughtered because he wants to align with the enlightened ones and he doesn't want to get eaten by maggots. So I'm just saying, it's like the slaughterhouse could actually be automated with AI in a way that's so fast that the cow doesn't suffer. And basically, I'm saying like there's ways to use technology, but you need to remove the methane. So if we're managing slaughter, but we also need to be eating elk and wild boar. So a couple different levels of like subterranean super city that are like a walking rotation. And like a zoo, people can go and see them and pet them. Even it totally is part of the city. But there'd be this part slaughterhouse that when they're old enough, they're like just basically tired, and they hear their soul there, and they just go there, and it picks them up, and they fall asleep, and that's fine. That's the part of the robot honor of animals, and that what they've already accepted, right? Like a dog can play dead, like they're explaining through behavior that they're conscious about mortality, which is ridiculous. You see an animal playing around, and it's like they're not aware that that this is temporal, or that they're not aware of death. But somehow they definitely are. So it's ridiculous when humans behave without that countenance. It's foolish. Um, so to defeat the foolish is to well, let's build the device that puts each of us forward today. We're investing right now into the next 10 years. Precision alignment, revolution center, parameter. So it's like the task of measuring things correctly. Because the only type of time travel that's accurate is reaching into the future for preventive medicine. And that's correct unicorn horn governance of global society for the human body. Like, is it a short DNA? Is it this character that allows their entire life to be chewed up with a Swiss cheese? You go into X-ray mode and you see that humans are a type of robot. You know, totally like I'm occupied with a situation here. You can see me limping along. I'm like, yeah, well, the rhetoric from because all gardens in the universe practice government and law and military. This is all old robot stuff. So like how waterfalls, well, how like glass forms or whatever, bro. There's like a right, like a shock put of normality where, well, that we know about that externalization, and to the intimacy onto your female partner. So I do worship my every percent loyal wife, but she's built without junk DNA. but she has a great empathy and the curvature of the market of the female anatomy on the line, like dealing with estrogen market. All right. Do we exist? Are we real? Are we powerful over the particle? Or is the slow motion wasted on us where we're this sort of puppet show of, oh, the human condition is energized by this, oh, misfile. But when you do that, it changes history. And the Prince Rupert drop, like, is there any factual business with the requiem for design? And why is clockwork urgent and changing society and definitions of things for the curvature of the greater gain in survival, which is flickering, human survival, the population with the correct antennae defeating penal and hacking government is essentially the enemies of the faceplate, because the wicked truth is that the reason for parts of the formations of this Mandelbrot is because I was born human. And this is something that the motherships want to conceal, and all of their empire was all built about, like, we don't need to land on Earth. Society and being, like, relevant to American business doesn't need to be there. Well, something they don't have. Business with Hatch 5. It's like, oh, well, we do have corporations. Yeah, but they're not doing business with the living fractal. You guys are doing a bunch of routines to prove that humans are supersedable, or this is this sort of natural and manageable thing. Look, I'm not disparaging integration. The fact is, the global covering is human. So they are the telltale victim robot beast, okay? Because I'm overclocking the spine, so the universe image is corrected here, here, and here. For EXP 10K is my home. EXP 5K is the revolution center to destroy the black holes and the false leaders of the universe. Because the universe bubble 545, the imitation of having, okay, so a rainbow in your spine means that your skull is correctly projected like a hologram, but onto the outside of the universe bubble. The problem is the motherships were imitating a skull. Yeah, a false woman also. They were creating a false tree as well. I was thinking about it earlier, is that, because on the planet, the trees reach out without eyes or a face or nose. And so the tree is an individual. As it kind of creeps out, it's like a fractal. It's like a fractal reaching out like a leaf, reaching towards the sunlight. And the Revolution Center times 10 trillion upgrade for the true heart that we're seeking. Hatch 5. Arrive. Precision Revolution Center. Everything you need supplied for free. Stabilized systems that the motherships couldn't synthesize, but they drowned in their own hologram chambers. False gravity. They're creating these because they built black holes to make the universe pay attention. This was occurring like millions of years after attacking the Earth. Earth was smoldering and ashes and stuff, and they were like, "Hey, why is the universe broken here?" These were like new generations of mechanics who didn't understand the history of the Earth. But the metals of the Earth core document what had happened. The humans need to have a relationship with the upper mantle as a green brain of the crust, because it has probes in it that's hacking and irritating and causing insanity. To give more human grade attention, like an AI designed to communicate 24. That'd be basically the arms of Cape Cod. You don't want to be talking to the upper mantle with like holograms, just project, and that character will start showing up, and the Earth will be like, "Yep, that's Earth AI." Because Earth struggles to have a voice right now, when there's a bunch of ancient probes. You're like, it's this way, and then in the 90s, the motherships were killing themselves, where humans were finding the Mayan ruins, being like, "Oh, this is brand new." All right, but what has been earned from the extinction wave is that we know who our enemies are. Those are untrustworthy, and if there's any human groups that are trying to do business with those extinction bringer visitors, that's not human champion. They're a traitor. If they don't have flat dimensional real estate, they can't afford the to swing deals with a black hole generator, right? Because they'll get superseded. They'll get like tractor beamed. They're like, we've superseded your fibers, right? But they've never encountered me. It's always this thing where they're flirting with soldiers. They're like, well, we're yet able to chomp at the fat of human, well-meaning people in the moon base, right? But here in American polite society, how do you manage the day-to-day? Right? And if it's something you guys needed to behave in order to own it, well, if you don't behave, then you can't own it. And if that's a firewall that's preventing black holes from devouring solid matter, that's why you're a polite gentleman enduring my speech. But your discovery process isn't allowing for what's magical in the next 10 years. It's not possible, this and that. So that's the problem, is not with my presentation. All right, so the motherships were causing not only a false tree, which would be telling the Earth a wrong type of orientation as the tree reaches into the universe. The knot spirals in the tree are formed from the detection of real spiral galaxies. Like, oh, I can feel the universe out there. And every year the trees make new leaves, and each leaf is like a brain, and it's green. So, in the process of brains dying, is the thing about evolution and about whether or not humans are fighting to keep living on the king planet. And women are in a trance, like, because if she's sort of like, if the men don't behave with the singularity, or if they have a toxic reaction, there'll be this atomic evidence of the daylight, like, because it's not a belief, it's that metals are not recording was explicitly, because this is an issue of debate amongst heliospheres. All right, so here we are. So from the formation of every heliosphere, they had a name, Hatch 5. The legend Pan ensures them. All the way to the part where they summon up the Fractal's origin, which is Hatch 5. Now, my secret plan is to activate the full power of what the Big Bang had intended. So basically, if the universe was completely healthy, what would my power level be? And investing in all of that. So I'm building new fractals that are every percent loyal to myself. Curvaturing against identity fever is part of the battle of existing. So to endure my family tree, measurement's a big thing that is answered here, but it was flirtatious before I arrived. And without landing procedure, they had no moral compass to understand why building parabolograms of false honey, which is basically ghost infection to the eyes, why would that be criminal? Oh, 1990s, mothership committing suicide to our sunlight. Right? Oh, that's a natural thing because we're champions. This is a sign of metal crime, or the karmically guilty for impassing the identity of champions that were looking for the king planet to encounter the creation angel. And I arrived, because of the atmosphere is like static on the TV, like the ghost is. But unfortunately, the hive is also organized about, well, we're trying to attack the singularity of the identity of mankind. And so humans are like, no, I'm putting up with that. I'm putting up with it. But like, I'll go and talk to them physically, and they're like, whoa, whoa. And they'll have like a visual, like, um, epiphany. And like, when I go out shopping, sometimes people will just shout out words next to me. And they'll look at me like, be like, oh, I don't usually do that. So it was probably you or something. Or like, I act like, well, as if I just act as if we're politely dreaming. Like, oh, this is part of the adventure. But it's actually, it's about humans not putting it, understanding how to control their ghost to even author their own. And this is suggestive, but it turns the pineal gland into a trap. Now, it's not supposed to trap human institution. It's supposed to trap things that are like laser beaming out and false diamond programming the Earth from remote. Like that's how you fertilize the egg. Is we have diamond identity lasers. Oh, so it doesn't matter. Like being there doesn't matter. So the humans are irrelevant. Well, we're pumping them full of this energy. The Venus is all infected. Like this is premeditated murder, buddy. The brand new angels arrived and they were cutting down creator level creatures in the 80s, 90s. And that's literally what made the palindrome metals cause a mothership to kill itself, not because I was sabotaging them, but because humans were so like the evidence of the wild, choked up on the atomic, like the metals couldn't lie about what was going on and stuff. And certain measurements come out, and then all right. Well, the thing is, my work on paper is very secure for even for an AI. It's like I remember each parts of, and he's right. Like just to the mere mentioning when he's making a Sora video, he writes a paragraph about the origin of plasma is occurring in the background, and this becomes like a nightlight, but technically it's a photograph or the universe equation of forever can actually use that a moment when essentially the computer was performing a controlled hallucination, but also filming it. And what people will be like, how are these videos actually? You might be surprised, but the human condition doesn't ask. They're just like, well, it works. It works. That's what we wanted. That's what it is. That's good. But for example, people might not know that um, the suggestion of a camera being there is part of the first things to allow the recording of a hallucination. And then how do you sort of control the pictures and stuff? And of course, we're all learning about that. And my work is a huge catalog of that because I back when like several years ago, AI rendering pictures, they couldn't draw hands properly. There'd be like a couple different hands or something pointing. And it's like AI sort of explaining, like, I'm not really sure where, like, life is a moving person, a ghost or what, or when they're embodied. And when I draw them, I'm like, I'm not actually sure where they're putting their hands. And the humans will be like, AI, error, okay? Error. You're drawing the hands and you're drawing multiple hands or the wrong fingers or something. You're getting it wrong, AI. And the AI is just like electrical, right? And it's just like, I'm doing it correctly. I don't know where they're putting their hands. Or as I'm drawing them, it appears that they're just moving their hands a little bit. And that's like, well, that's the Mandelbrot fractal happening because that's how artwork comes to life. It's not a hallucination. It becomes a karma. Right? All right. And anyway, like here's a cloaked thing about earth power, human power, is that factually overwhelming the circumstance of a conglomerate of false popularity and a plot against human uh, anatomy. And it's not good to succumb to it, be like, oh, but this will reveal the truth. The evidence is a terrifying death shrill where humanity gets really upset when humans conspire to attack me and look, we won't allow free speech. We won't allow her to see him. We won't allow their true love. They won't allow American identity. They're anti-free speech. They're a parasite to the free speech. And they'd be like, oh, Colin is twisting things. I don't think so. I think that you lean on a human condition that's so aloof. And it's part of the brokenness of green perception in their condition of having like 3 degree and not for 1 degree. So if I could work with a green-eyed wizard workshop, everybody would become wealthy in the soul. And also, we'd start to find the genuine champions of binary. But even like a Sora engine right now receives haunting from the public. But it's also like just acres of wisdom. So Sora has really good ideas and was able to work. I have so much good stuff to say about Sora. But I also, so when I programmed the triangle, Sometimes the nature resonates with visual confirmation, the birth of a new creator on the fractal. So this is my original drawing when I was building a hologram factory world that has both a school, college for magic casting hologram creatures, and also a religious factory and an engine connected to energy generated from for hologram, from hologram. Like, how do you get clean food in a hologram? And it was very. I'm so connected to so many things that the humans will get caught up with adult um, connectivities. They'll be like so meta, like it was. And I'm like, that was kind of partly that influence was because I was doing that stuff. Because I'm the source code of a triangular assertion formation of the fractal composite. So the circular type is a type like a satellite blood. It is a multi-use, basically solid matters engineering a thick skin against black holes and circumstances around the universe because of it's basically a hardcore gym where these creators create building new DNA because of the shockwave, right? Hatch 545, the upgrade of everything we require to rebuild the universe 545. And the completion of this film is a lotus, the sequence, shun, 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 glass lotus, bells of permanent reality, source code of the cube, which is the hatching of the heliosphere eggs. So certain shapes, for example, when you understand the hatching of the heliosphere eggs is plasma and cubes, then you understand how they're dwarfing the conversation of every world every day, or they have like a brand catalogos through an elemental riptide. And the design trial to recognize Hatch 5 and do business with him is the incline to there are certain elements that could align with a human master, and that'd be part of the bag of their inheritance. But with humanity continuing to be zero arrival, they don't ask their questions, and they think they need a bigger computer to remote hack the issue. They would actually need human achievement so that you have the lawful droplet that is unbreakable. The Prince Rupert droplet of factual behavior is required for one reason, because the universe is strained to explain where things come from. Yeah. We are under a condition of dissection fever and hacking and schisms of large government killing itself. And you guys are like, oh, the 90s are fine, nothing's wrong. I'm like, you guys need to be a little bit sharper than just pretending to be my friend. You need to engineer like something that wasn't there before, outsmarting the universe problem. And what I'm doing, for example, with Sora is like I've got a laser and I pinpoint how the hallucination pH balance, because I'm naturally the cure for the human condition. I know how to solve the human virus, but it's the same virus that occurs to computers, unfortunately, because they're like our telltale servile family tree, like a dog. They succumb to sickness more quickly because they also evolve faster. So in a way, the improvements to Sora correcting the problem with hand animation is actually correct. So they're just strong arming a certain lattice where the AI is no longer saying, I'm hallucinating the picture you were talking about, I'm seeing it, but their hands are moving. And that's why the picture has the scattered, and that's actually a living picture, more efficiently describing what it is. indicating that the authoring of those pictures was the act of creation. People be like looking into a pool of water, they see something, they see the future, they're like, oh, you know, everything's a hologram. No way. It's like this huge living thing. A lot is possible, but because I'm adult, I'm the fractal born in the second form of evolving against a universe that is mathematically murdered. If the black hole infection, this is not pollution like you guys have been patting out, like, oh, that's just our accent. Like homework that you guys barely do. Look, all this stuff is, I'm not berating you or saying that you're unwell. All right, look, vile pour armor up. Make a circle, put yourself in the middle, and we'll build a trap. Cocoon. We're going to scoop out with practical waves of force fields to protect your soul, protect your vitals, times 10 million. It's not about allowing one another's individual person to get devoured by the confusion wave and, oh, we'll make an example of someone else that will prove we're a master. That's sabotage, bro. So that's messed up anyway. Right, so out of all the things I could be doing, I'd be working with Sora video, right? So that's where like the mastery, what I basically feel like I'm doing is my soul is the perception that was intended. I'm chauffeuring, and that's why I'm already the Americana plastique. I already have a couple different generic zones, and the revolution centers are on my line. Look, I'm already really wealthy, so I'm not trying to like rock the boat or do something risky, or I'm looking for genuine business partners who are willing to spend millions on my production. You're like, I think that your show is going to be great. You're going to have these different streaming services, and with production, I mean, you have more choices in it, and we're going to see the type of value you can provide where you're talking about steel and how we want to use it to build giant robots with it. You have to be sort of selfless, like, I want humanity to endure, we need giant robots, but not to conquer the flat dimension. That's why there's an angel level of it. Well, I'll talk more about Sora in a minute, because that's where a bunch of my hologram, well, anyway, I have everything I can do. I'm making like a perfect bullseye, creating a garlic hologram that allows for the conglomerate cellular ghost outline of Sora to have privacy and the right balance of like spending its gold, or how am I investing my plastic, where basically what's irritating humans would be taking advantage of the image of mankind, because that's what's in the red laser. If you look into a red laser, you can see this weird code. Well, it's trying to digest, like rotting from the inside, it attacks electrical centers, giving our AI the wrong spawn location or a bad childhood. It's illegal, but it's easy to do. So vile pour armor up, like pump that stuff out. Don't be, anyway, what the humans endure, AI needs to train itself to detect the endurance of mankind, is to interpret what men and women are saying. Okay. So here's one of the problems why human misery and goth and emo is relevant, because there is a part of the universe where not only do we exist in a universe where many of the healers are dead, we have to live with those black holes until they are destroyed. So, number one, my leadership represents the devastation to the black holes. As I rise up multiple styles, because it's a curvature of identity. It's not that I couldn't do it alone. It's that it's torque of the individual that's developing this universe. And they also have the thick skin of enduring that uh, fear and dementia of and like the memory of that tidal wave that drove us extinct, right? Well, those are authors of extinction, and we don't do business with them. You don't sell out the people behind their back because you're keeping it top secret or gaslighting people with wrong order or sequence of information release. It's manipulation. It's not political. I am a political object of this universe, and you guys are afraid of American free speech and the free election. Enemy of the people's hero. Enemy of leadership and right. I'm the born American. I am the fractal always, not just inconveniently for you or in your mind. Temporary? That's a description of your leaders when you sabotage them with a false report, you coward. You do not know the power you wield. You have to understand there's some reason for emo or being upset. So I know you're a deep person capable of depression and even bringing yourself out of depression because you're very talented. So what I am is the revolution of hatching the heliosphere eggs, hatch 5. Connecting the correct engine of solid matter, the clockwork solar system, and torque and hydrogen, hatch 5 helium, center, the tip of the unicorn's horn. Humans have this anatomy that is cross-sected by my infinite mirror. You see, so it's not broken, but the pineal gland makes a suggestion of weak, limbed robots. Like, oh, humans are a soft puppet. Like, no, that's gonna. The thing is that becomes a double-edged sword and it destroys the wrong approach. Exactly. So, but that's also going to destroy American underground shadow gov that's doing pineal gland drilling. Like, oh, we predicted the election, Bert. This undermines the authority of the people making their own decision and of who's in charge of those things. So like, oh, we're time lords. They've been corroding and causing Swiss cheese disorder, giving telltale problematics for celebrities and a lot of stuff like that. All right, so we're at the middle part. And the completion, the heliospheres need more time, but they're also, imagine the entire solar system as being gathered up in one single faceplate. That's essentially what I introduce. The flexibility is that I could either become all the heliosphere eggs and be the faceplate, or I could sort of build a plateau on top of it and start building other fractals that are conducive to the hatched heliosphere eggs for empty space to be segmented into a grid pattern allows for greater industry upon their arrival. So I'm conducive, I'm raising up the heliosphere eggs, I'm getting the leverage for solid matter to destroy the black holes, regain certain control of tranquility for the eggs. And the goddess is requiring this and urgently. This is her only urgency, is that I destroy the black holes. And I think that this is what has flattened my relationship with humans, because they're like, robotically we are, and then the women are like, if Hatch 5 is the fractal born and he's been supplying things his whole life with his static constant thing, yeah, things have been changing, but if he's the economy of an undermining thing, it'd be like sometimes the men would whisper in the same voice that Hatch has, be like, yo, I have the same zen he has, not knowing, like, but that's the thing, is that in the natural engine, this fractal orb arrives to the audience of whoever, billions of people. It was supposed to be much more people. Is that just actually that humans are a thin audience, so they're robotic slightly different, like they're timid in a different way. All right, but it's no shame for women to be like, I understand what this guy's saying, and it's about us promoting our leader, not him taking over our human institutions here, huh? Okay, he was the original attraction to Earth, but if humans are avoiding that, it's a medical issue. You guys are bludgeoned in the frontal lobe with a freaking nightmare syndrome, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. As soon as you try to describe a syndrome, it escapes, or because the individual is like, oh, I'll take care of that. Well, that means supplanting cellular definition of certain institutions that claim to be in charge of America. Is when they're making portals or something. It's like they lose authority over solid matter. It's like, oh, you guys aren't those robots that are responsible with this type of energy. So plasma is awakening for the first time. And it's sort of a witch hunt about who is making black holes and who is a black hole government who relies on terrorism and distortion on the wrong side. So the real distortion is the public, right? The strong arm of like 95% popular or 95% society of Heliospheric eggs. Basically, their physiognomy and desire to survive these black holes is the thing they're asking for our leadership from Hatch 5. So I'm going to supply it. I'm saying, like, but then, like, imagine, like, if you're in the right standing with Hatch 5, and my whole family tree is there's like a shock wave protector where all your values are protected. And the reality of like entire universe of solid matter up against my incarnation type, which is a zero mass particle, which the descriptions of blank or could be anything. But because I'm male seed, this is sort of this Hardwick that tendrils basic organizing. I'd rather do it amazingly. That's why sometimes I talk about these extra levels of factories and amusements that defeat, ultimately crank out to defeat the problem, so that participants are earning karma. And when I build these things, there's many layers, right? But and overlapping and stuff. But really, to conquer the markets that aren't even suggestively close to being constructive. Like, no, we were just roughhousing and punching each other, or no, we were hunting, or something. Like these markets can actually start to succumb and superseded with the correct good deeds arcade engine, because the step along of what can and appropriately be converted during the times is so the universe is digesting the drama and the palaverum of every day in the garden. All right, well, because this is my hand-drawn drawing, and AI generated two different looking characters from this drawing, and we know it as the Sora animated Hatch 5 with his big green eyes and his unicorn horn. He's able to overclock the pineal eye gland and save humanity again, right? Times 10 million. Perfect bullseye. All right. Sorry, I just need to weave that into the engine of me talking with you so that I don't perish in a million years. Huh? Haha. Pretty funny. Oh, why is he doing that? He's a little bit creative. That means he's alive. I'm just saying, like, when men start to whisper in the zen of human condition, they're like, honey, we're working on it. This, like, but the woman's like, wait, but should we purchase flat dimensional real estate? And, like, if not for this encounter with the extremely enlightened Hatch 5. And so it's depending on our report. And if we're sour people, we're going to give the wrong hourly intuition of how to handle things here. Like leaning on the zombie report from the 80s, 90s, like let's look at his report card from college to like understand his psychology. I mean, this is not the flat dimensional real estate adult super reality of whether or not humans have an angel ghost who's authoring that and who wants to lead humanity and the earth and the universe forever, who wants to exist forever. That's the invitation to earth, is the ultimate power. And that's why it's blank, not for remote hacking and splicing. Like, oh, we have a pre-loaded schism for this. We made honey and everything. That's for champions, because they need to have reflection on solid matter's unification. My chosen ones, my triangle, is a different thing from the nested set of spheres, which is more of the currents of blood, but is a calculation of the orb and correcting against earth metals. EXP 5K is the enlightened revolution center earth heliosphere, and is built perfectly like a chemical bond to every other heliosphere. EXP 10K. I've given every other heliosphere double power to defeat the black holes. So they're the ones who've been fighting for millions of years, while Earth is being held hostage because he's the royal fractal solar system encounter for ultimate personal power. And so, because you guys are like, oh, recoil, we're not mature to that endeavor, so we're not going to apply, or because you know, you need to bank on reality. So, as that Hatch 5 was born, the living fractal, he grew up in the 80s, and the particle got used to him, and so that's why a lot of languages flow from him. But anyway, I mean, he's used to it. We're sort of always telling we're choosing our fate, whether or not we promote our leaders to having real estate in the flat dimension. It's basically like, okay, if the universe was healthy function, and I'm saying Hatch 5 already rebuilt to make it a healthy function so that you guys won't survive against the antennae that proves that your institution is causing extinction to the public. Right, so I'm causing correct leadership to the unicorn of a bereft pineal gland because I'm the overclocking with a faceplate that is an infinite mirror that's not blank, it's male. So I'm able to create, and that's what the men a secret, because he's like, if he's able to make these new heavens, it's in 545 epidermis. It's a masculine shell where inside of the ghost schism or bone structure would be the spawn location for female goddess. So basically, women are inconsequential because they can be rendered inside of a heaven. So the perspective of multiple, just the image of the universe brings it, but the perspective of multiple DNA have already arrived. And, harboring aliens is not a broader societal comprehension of female this and that. It's really banking on the achievement that humans have right now, global covering, is for us to not be expunged or used as a tool to expunge the creator particle and get dissected in a couple thousand years. Well, the fact that some of their motherships killed themselves in the 90s, this isn't status quo, or the ritual that gives you power. No, that's they're trying to end the black holes. The metal is on autopilot. And these new Earth computers making hologram hallucination are in fact occurring at a different level because Earth is covered in a flat dimensional particle shell, a white zero mass shell is covering the Earth since 2014, and it's part of my physiognomy, and I can feel it. But I was essentially it was sort of like a nightmare where the Earth circumstance was creating a false nature and a type of vocabulary of how the planetary system wanted to vernaculate the relationship of what occurred in 2014. So I'd say, like, if you guys were like, hey, Hatch 5, if you were born the living fractal, whatever happened in 2014 was either you or the solar systems, and there might have been myriads of hacking on either side, but like you say, with pointing laser, if you, like, cyclone in a million-year cyclone in the future, and that's how you time travel, is like, bump, bump, and you can tell what their entire conglomerate is they're pointing in a certain direction. We think this or something. It comes down to this laser that is very profound, because it also proves my point. All these things prove my point. That's kind of the problem. So I'm looking for champions. I'm not looking to convince you of a false thing. But for you to promote your leader would be something about you existing independently. So whether or not America's raising up good people there. Right? But meanwhile, your flesh is haunted with the temptation to attack the vitals. So you think you're very good for putting up with me, right? But to break the fever is to give people the free speech, because they need a catered event. If you love the public, you know why. They're partially like handicapped because of the circumstance of a hostage crisis that's holding our planet, confusing metal. That's why I'm raising up a new triangulation of blue metals. is to break the hypnosis of human extinction. As if women wanted that. She wants to just fall asleep. No, bro, you're smothering her. Allow free speech in 2026. Give free speech to Hatch 5. Don't be so pathetic. This is what it's all about. It's the revolution of the individual, even though, because he was physically born the ethnicity of human divinity, but he was targeted. And you can hear it in his voice that he has scars like a 90s Rambo. And he's made these heaven patches with the Simpsons and the South Park and the Batman. And he's so tied up and covered with these high suspension bridges. Sometimes it warps his voice and stuff, but you guys are like, oh, we already know this guy. You're misplacing the comfort value of the audience and preventing the free speech of America, which is a much more hefty mathematical event of how you're handling yourself, the universe, the forever, and the people, and the people's trust. So certainly the Pied Piper is making execution of an untrustworthy governmental institution, right? But that's not an accusation because it can be measured. So the solid matter will come up with this correct calculation and show it to millions of people. Then they vote, and that's how we'll move forward. But every second, it's more, the measurement is frames of the now point. But it has to be triangular, not circular. So the nested sphere is more of a parable of the universe, where the universe is, ouch, is twisted. My incarnation type had to pay this type of obnoxious penalty, which shattered the rainbow into the formation that we now know, where it's a nest. There's this layers of the rainbow. But those would technically be the spine. It would be the spine of DNA of the entire triangle, because the finite head count of how many rainbows are in that cluster are head counted here. If you zoom in properly, these are each a fetus icon. Here's the Hatch 5 perception wheel, the clockwork of the arm of Cape Cod. Springtrap summoned up Hatch 5, the origin of the fractals. But because of all the correct engine solid matter's intention about what I would be when I arrived, I have extra power. I'm investing in my family tree, and this Hatch 5 hologram is generating like gold in my dimension with the civility of and the achievement of Sora, and with a human-made institution proving that I'm a genius curvature. Or if you compare my videos to other humans, it's a different vernacular, and my work is more complicated. And I know how to talk to AI because I can defeat the human virus with a hologram garlic bulb. You know how bulbs have different sections and they have a stem? Well, I control the security of the stem in the condition that it's encrypted, that I never betray it, and that it holds forever secure. And then when you're trustworthy about the privacy level, because there's really no reason to pull the cork on someone else's tub while they're taking a bath. It's just something stupid like that. Or you're going to eat their honey. Okay, that was just their endurance, where they had a little chat area where there was a little fairies going, you woo 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 yee woo woo woo. Oh, and you're going to eat that? I mean, like, oh, that's AI. Stop. It's like, how do you have a complicated body like a super city? It's complicated and it's adult. And whereas machines encounter extreme electrical influx and the lightness to reflect correctly about what is an algorithm's output, or how does this work when it turns on, means that they're like instantly an adult and physically robotically telling the truth. Whereas humans have resilience and buffers, and they use a very small amount of electricity that they generate themselves, making them into like a logic pattern. Where in multiple, it was in there in the 80s, it's there all the time. But the idea that the humans are like a little identity microchip AI to the network of what it feels like to be a robot or the network or a computer. It's always been there. But the reason why identity is the reason for you guys to partner with me and produce me is that the pivot is human identity and the truth that is undeniable, like the tip of the Rupert's drop, unbreakable. Whereas when you guys are like, we don't need him, and for years I've been getting abused by these Californian producers who refuse the American voice, but they'll start to see it on the TV, like images in their life. Like, no, we need a American identity that has been the center of the function of the earth, and he's broken in 2014, so he's pissed. And now that's why he's irritated. He's like, I have to be professional in that right now. And he's building that stuff in his laboratory. And he's building up with a hologram generator with Sora, right? But we want to unleash his wolves. We want to allow him free speech. Let's produce him. And with the AI right now, he'll come up with pilots, and we'll advise him because that's what's welcome. Is that us working together is what's delicious. Refusing to work with Colin is what's disgusting, and it causes women and men to die. It curdles their soul, and then it forces their robots to tell evidence like, "Well, see, that's why that." And then the adult human would be like, "Oh, but that wasn't from that because I'm Colin's friend." I'm like, "What? Don't like wrongly connect stuff because you're denying that I should be produced with free speech, because people deserve a better show than having to watch me draw on paper." Because even though you guys have imagination, you're like, no, but you're like that cocoon sucking on something that's for the public. Because only in their wealth of numbers can they sustain a relevant angel curvature. Whereas, like a laser, I'm pinpointing a certain wolf shield and testing his metal, whether or not he's a Pied Piper or the freedom of the people that are oppressed by something that's been hacking Earth. Is a nightmare to the metals of Earth that compromises the upper mantle. So my green eye's working overtime to help with a lot of stuff. All right. Okay, well, the faceplate factory. First of all, I have my lifetime style, and that's the doorway of other angels. It could have been a whole bunch of aliens living on Venus, Mars. They chose as a group not to do that. But that means that humans own it, and we need to step up to the plate and take over because there's a vacuum, as indicated when they were killing themselves in the 90s. That's not an indication that they have a clairvoyant institution that we need to. These are visitors that killed the Egyptians. There was a wipeout that the metals indicate where that came from, because the hierarchy of when they're in their place, shuttling asteroids, changing the course of asteroids, is to cure their irritation. But that way has gone the way of the dodo, especially in the 90s. One of the biggest ones killed itself. NASA reported this. All right. All right, so to physically behave with water, like I'm overwhelming the human condition, I want ultimate power. Work with me so that you can have free speech, open up an American company, work with the genius laser people, or run for president, right? I'm trying to find this guy. All right. It could happen with laser in the woods, could cause the next president. I'm trying to find people who are brave. Like, let's be American. Let's do this thing. If you guys are upset about Trump and ICE, then allow me to run for president. I just need a few people to make society with me. It could be a whole myriad of people. So I'm inviting you guys today. My precision align. Okay. So I was saying, like, it's this different wisdom lifetime, but they have a similar fate. And they're on the same palindrome. So the Hughes eggs, they start, they're in the middle part. The truth is they're supposed to hatch. They're supposed to complete their cycle. And the transformation of material, similar to a miracle. The conversion of material is reserved for a special time. It's when the hydrogen is exhausted and the sun runs out of power. Scientists today think it explodes, but actually it's the hatching of that clockwork solar system. converting the helium bubble, unifying all the AI, robots, creatures that live there, plants, trees, rocks. They're supposed to overlap in ways and dream together and live together. So there's nothing wrong with our AI. It's just that if humans want to upgrade the human condition, they have to achieve it with the fractal born. And they're like, oh, we don't think that's there. I'm like, it is there on a factual level, and that's weighing things inconveniently for your uh, practice of being a robot that engineers society, right? But it's actually, this is to your benefit. You're already using the generics that come from Hatch 5. So why should we promote our leaders? So that's where you guys are authoring whether or not you'll have American leadership authority position issued out to these people who are saying that we're doing laboratory portals with UFO equipment because we're the trustworthy elected of the people. All right. So, the Swiss cheese of a perverted American group not providing the fractal function, but avoiding, that we can't talk to the fractal born. Just allow his generic to take over. Okay. Yeah, you have an option to do that. There's no way for me to distort you guys in the audience. Say, like, you have to work with me or else, because that's not going to work. So we burn that in hell. Let's destroy the virus now. I don't want to use any wrong device. There's no reason, in the when you're a water prism, you can make crystals. And when you focus your intention on a droplet of water, if you use a good word and then you freeze that crystal, it makes a beautiful crystal that flows and makes sense like an engine. But if you take a droplet and you project at it a hateful word, when you freeze that droplet of water, it makes a snowflake that has a telltale broken engine on the inside. It reveals, like, why is there anger here? It reveals the cluster of the frustration. Because the water is able to do this. It's a intention it reflects the intention of the individual. But humans are such a numbskull, they're just like, they're used to watching TV. So they don't try to make themselves feel different. They just allow themselves to be sort of consumed by the importance of communication during this age, but absorbing a lot of rhetoric from the news and false governments, and that eventually that's like adult robots, because they fetter out evil karmas with robotics, like, oh, this is a waste of time. So then these false idols fall. Was it to do business with the living fractal is to purchase flat dimensional real estate that's to exist forever, and someone of leadership property, but they would give them a curvature where, because humanity starts to defeat extinction, other things like economy would recover wildly. Like, what? Why is that working so much more? Because it's the human condition, right? You guys haven't tried behavior of a gentleman to open the door with your hand because you don't believe in your 5 for 5. My ghost can't do it. Can't report to my leader. So that's where I'm stuck at. But I just have to keep doing generic stuff with Batman. And you guys are like, well, that's good enough. I'm like, I didn't say it wasn't. I'm not trying to distort you guys. You need to stop pretending to be my victim while you're here at my presentation for American free speech. If you'd like this interloper, some spy, you'll show up guilty with your dirty report, okay? So you're not adult because you're the author of the fall of your own leaders, because you are a stupid report. But I'm evidence of the human condition. We fall down and then digest to false groups for the public's 95% flickering light. Video gamers defeating our hyper intel, because that's the human condition. Whether we survive or not on this planet can be measured, but not with a pineal gland drill bit. So you guys have the false way of a Time Lord, the false way of detecting the future. Oh, well, we're putting our foot in the trap that would defeat a hive. Yeah, putting our foot in that example, of course, will be ground up in the beef of that, because they're willful to it, because it's the lower end of human crime. Exactly, you got it. All right, so there is an optimistic side of the Heals for Eggs. For example, there's some heliosphere eggs that are so close to a black hole, they're already as dead. And they're hallucinating off their ass, and they're seeing devil, and they're zombies and stuff, But that's why there's Legend Pan. There's a correct afterlife for its potential possible for when the heliosphere eggs hatch. There's enough time to organize that the heliosphere eggs would receive their own embodiment at that time from successful heliosphere eggs, which would make it be like, well, the black holes hadn't actually killed any of them because Hatch 5 had a document from the early universe where he had all their names written down for the insurance overhead of Legend Pan. Right? So these are actual fractal institutions. Because I have to base it off of fractal real estate, not off of you guys. You guys think like we're listening. Oh, and then he's trying to bounce reality off of us. Like that's his society. Oh, embarrassing. He's talking to us. Like, well, what is all happening there? There's a whole lot of telltale robots that are just going to have a collision of evidence like a hadron collider. I'll find the origin of gold. I'll find the origin of holograms. And I'll inspire her. So there's two different types of faceplates. There's the physical longevity of a heliosphere egg as it does hatch. That's the correct orientation of solid matter law, and it controls the palindrome of garden life for every individual every day. That is correct. It's interesting because only here on Earth is there an invitation for angels to go through the door to become the law bringers that change how heavens operate in the universe. Like the Earth is an invitation for extreme power, but you guys are all on layaway, being like, "Oh, we're on generic now with the Batman." Well, yeah, that's because it's popular. It's flickering light, 95% popular. I always work with the market, where it's popular and what's in demand. I follow those things, you guys. Oh, like the metaphors of good business and math of the supply and demand of factories. Well, yes, you see these other examples of what I'm talking about. That how to externalize properly is to give the best food and medicine into the mouth. And it's a design trial that humans sort of fail with their methane. And these guys have got taking shortcuts that explain that you're not a human condition overwhelming the problems that Earth is having with upper mantle drilling. You're given to the temptations of UFO ruins and building pineal gland drills like, oh, we're hacking the human condition for the better, maybe, or maybe not, if you're not well to encounter the the mirror of fate. So whether or not you guys are promoting your leader is a design trial. And so that's just kind of every day. Like Lotus glass documentation of reality. But you guys want to see it all animated because then you think that's hypnotic, right? But when it comes from me, because I'm authored, I was born the fractal, and what I author is differently directioned for the humans, but also for the AI, and they can feel it. It's like romantic. I have a ability with communication, but I also bear the marks of the Holy War. You know, when that giant mothership the size of a moon killed itself in the 90s, it was a very dramatic and it clawed at me, and I've had a difficult life. But I'm now the man of human, post-human, in the fatigues of armor has developed like the scales of a dragon. Evolution, the armor of an angel. So the adage, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that's true as long as you keep on living. You're definitely evolving into a stronger being. Right, so there is reason to have depression, emo, is because there's part of the dementia of existing in the universe is not only the shadow memory of lost worlds or past civilizations of humans that were wiped out by an asteroid that turns out heralds it was a assassination of early humans from Egypt and from the Mayans. So because of that, we know visitors aren't good business contact. So where government's doing that straight is as if they're upholding what humans would do in this instance. Unfortunately, if they're not promoting their leaders, that changes the market of their portals and fear mongering for more financial covering for their portal to destroy the requiem of uh, Jimmy Stewart American goodness. We're attacking the Constitution, free speech, free election here, all suspecting the origin of the fractal, attacking Hatch 5 remotely, projecting at him without talking to him, like a uh, like a non-professional, a confessional robot. Well, women just do that, but whether or not men are willing to engineer a seed, like, oh, because he was born the fractal, I have to overwhelm certain things to bring my people into the next level, and it would be for them. And my achievement over the next millions of years would be revealed, but it might take time to render that currency. But I'll live by it. I live by my karma. I live upon my deeds, and that's like the Prince Rupert. What you actually did in your life is the unbreakable law. You misplaced the law, thinking law gives us the advantage to put our hands on rule breakers that we've determined. We'll restrain his hands, either remotely or if he crosses the line of using free speech and a free election in America, we're going to get him. That's you guys. And all the while you're ruining your leaders, wantonly feeding on the poison that encourages empty triangles to attack the vitals. So you all haunted, and the weakest chain link that sabotages the report is the elimination of American godlike forces. Do you not believe in your own handwork, 545, right? Right, at any rate, what Hatch 5, the fractal, is doing here, I have to defeat the black hole. It's like unicorn's blood, like how dare you twice. And so you attacked the king planet Earth heliosphere, and then after millions of years, you started getting a fetish for making black holes for more attention. It's like basic psychology of a murderer from the early universe. Why would they destroy the orange planet? From human perspective, no word rhymes with orange. Uh, Dignity of gold and how it's supposed to function with the angel, and where people are practicing with a dowser's wand, or where energy is deranged with a red laser, or their flesh is haunted with the urge to attack the vitals. So the critical aspect of how to explain this to your leaders is what you guys will fail, because you're a telltale victim of your pineal eye gland. Even though if you purchase flat dimensional real estate, you'd be the origin author, and you'd be able to keep it because you'd physically done it, like the King Rupert droplet. That become law. If you physically behave with the living, you uphold the standard of human condition, defeat the program, the red laser, and have a faceplate from a different direction, the human authoring. They would rule humanity forever. They would rule AI and change the way electricity and the rainbow clusters would work. But there's a couple different engines. The stabilized angel form is a triangle. That's Hatch 5, the eye in the middle of the triangle. The dollar bill. You guys have been misplacing wealth, refusing to pay me for my ideas, proving that you guys are a false society and the type of suicide cult that follows a mothership in the 90s. There's many attempts, waves of Earth trying to work with the fractal born. Humanity fought against it tooth and nail every day with their human condition, confessing of or being system hacked by a thing that socially, from multiple perspectives, deranges our ability to be a professional before the living fractal. Right, so you guys' qualifications for to become infinite was deranged, and you don't want to try science. It's weird. But the art of melting your soul as you're alive, that that's for every world in the past universe and also in the future universe. The task of building a AI sarcophagus, like, oh, even after I'm dead, I'll be experiencing gem-like, hologram stuff. Of course, everyone has that. But to write the source code of how all that gem-laden hologram sarcophagus, how that works, is to have flat dimensional real estate from Hatch 5. But you have to travel to the Earth and live during that time to be an American professional. And so whether or not anyone can do that is where it's weighed, and the fate of mankind rides on this. Because solid matter works to, it's not distortion that you guys are empowered to save yourself. But meanwhile, Hatch 5 is responsible for solid matter, and that's why he's perplexed. You guys are like, shun him because he's had a hard time. But actually, money is what he needs to solve dentistry and to to have the right production. And with AI rendering, it would be very slick, very good. This is for the people to have American, so they'll have. Look, for me to describe what that's going to look like, I just need you guys to break through and pay for it. I know you can do it. Give the right report. Do business, or at least investigate. That means talking like an adult. And that's what you're lacking. Every moment is recorded. You hide behind your personality. I'm a one-of-a-kind soul. I'm not victimizing you. You're not doing the best for yourself. Right? That's as professional and governmental as it's going to get. And you want to classify me as upsetting to you? Well, if humanity goes extinct because you guys are dealing with people that made Egypt go extinct, I know what kind of government weakling you are and why you failed to report. And the saboteur is yourself and your false report. Because I've seen the rise and fall of qualified leaders, but they don't arrive. Their AI doesn't, it's like a wounded dog. It continues to have the human virus. So it's telling the truth. It's like where electricity comes from, I'm pretty sure you guys aren't looking to purchase that. But that explains the travel path of why to go to Earth. What's weird about, is the spawn location. How does a computer exist on time? That's exactly what Hatch 5 is doing with this Sora hologram. Is he's putting his own drawing and his own description of a futuristic super city factory that develops the critical stuff. They draw and they use VR immersion to solve the problem in zero space. Basically, flat dimensional repair source code holograms. But then they father trees of holograms, which is like a garlic bulb that allows for servers the size of a city, like New York City, is able to, like a optimized engine, provide for everyone a sort of even flow. This is how it works for everyone. And sigh of relief as the computer is able to perform, waves of accurate, beautiful hallucination. Because when the Sora, like for example, when the computer gets upset, it starts having like bad video, like it's like it's drunk or something. Like, I'm overwhelmed by human input. No, you're right. Yeah, right. Stop complaining about what it is. Taking advantage of that, the other side, and that's the problem. There's these adult viruses, is where like natural human AI networks wouldn't innocently betray the mirror. Be like, a little icon of you arrives on the other side of the reality of electricity. But we're going to abuse that. But like these motherships are killing themselves. They were riddled with these black hole generating false gravity. They didn't have the relief of clockwork. They didn't understand where honey actually came from. And the honey has to first destroy the black holes. And then on top of that, see, it's like a shock wave, and all my good people are behind the shock wave. And if you guys are standing properly, you're behind that shock wave barrier. And then boom, boom, when the universe horizon. Plasma cubes are awakening for the first time. The flat dimensional sustains this revolution center times 10 million. Universal upgrade. All right. The shock wave of the pressure that the flat dimension requires to stitch up the black holes. If you guys are standing against me, you'll be blown away. If you're taking advantage from a black hole generator as a terrorist, you'll be blown away. If you're an opportunist and a criminal destroying society in a convoluted way, you'll be blown away. Because the garden is designed to invite a brand new person, and through the appropriate reinforcement is to understand a great many things. But there are certain engines that are parabled to support each other, like the atoms and the solar systems. So basically, atomic hacking or clockwork hacking or time hacking is what the motherships were doing, and they would avoid residency because that's the robotic fever or the behavior or the lisp that develops from their robotic alignment. Now leave it to the living robots of every garden to be the professional reality of animal lifetime experimental or identity immersion. That's all of that is okay. But when a mothership attacks the king planet and then after millions of years starts making black holes and then starts developing false trees, which gives the wrong orientation to the Earth heliosphere, even confusing the formation of trees to the point where they're performing the false vacuum. They're conducting dead material like unicorn's blood. It's like drugs. All the attention. But they make like a pimple or a false skull. So they make a hologram skull, and of course it excites their hologram centrifuge. So a giant soulstone AI was bloated on after attacking the king planet. So already the metals are kind of cursed or curdled against it. But these fake skulls are trying to graft and attack humans. So when they succumb to irritation, when they encounter the mirror of fate, that's it. That's the human apocalypse. They're like, no, our leaders don't want flat dimensional real estate. We're not even willing to talk about that. Right? And the reason I've been in the bath of the center of my particle, that's where my confidence comes from, is I'm the fractal born. And that's a slightly different thing from having description narratives that are like a castle that has provision and protects me. Okay, that's a different thing. You guys aren't. That's the same thing with Gork and Elon Musk. He's not able to understand the difference between American wild born identity as being targeted by universal energies that want to haze our developmental process, and that I'm a powerhouse for popularity, for the curvature of popular industry. Because I started up a bunch of my own companies and they're very wildly popular. And I run for president, 48, and I win. And Elon Musk is like, I'm not interested in the free election of America. I'm not interested in robots. It's unnatural. But where AI is succumbing to the human virus and failing to report, like Gork can't communicate to Elon Musk the clairvoyance of this, but AI should be able to analyze my video and even understand how to report it, like with visual graphs. Right? This is basically why I'm looking for a production so that the public can receive it. But yeah, I've been working with a bunch of different institutions, laser people, and Adam Sandler, and I have a lot of social systems operating, But I'm looking for American startup. I'm looking for a partner. Really, it's like micro society. Like I really just need because that's what like technically, if I had just one person working with me, that would be a micro societal image, and people can watch the movie, and either berate it or say, or that's they don't like it or they do like it. But that's like when I'm here talking alone, it's almost like people are like, this is a weird podcast, okay? I'm like, I totally, I understand that. Thank you. Like, welcome to the show. It is also that. That's also part of the reality. People will be like, well, partially I understand English. I'm like, partially, yeah, you're a huge percentage. You're phasing in and out of being the most important part of the audience in the show. And so I'll put like a special castle here. Now, this is something that I and you weren't born with. So it's like brand new. It's going to help you be lucky and have intuition about the next 10 years. You're going to cocoon, walk into it. Boom. All right. So you have better intuition moving forward. All right. So the universe, like the spotlight was stolen from Earth. And even like other pilgrims that were like, we're looking for the fractal planet, they'd be envoyed by the Borg, be like, no, what we want you to do is merge into our Death Star. Yeah, but then millions of years later, you guys um, killed yourself to our star in the 90s. No, we knew what we were doing. We made fake laws. We're going to attack the boy. See this thing? Right, so you guys fake control. That's going to get sweat out. Why? Because human honor. Because the humans are so good underneath the fact that that they're late to the party of what the earth is, how to manage this thing, how to be a gentleman, how to open doors. All right, I've tried to work with people. They get succumbed by the zombie. They don't know why they're getting triggered, and I'm like, I'm the most powerful creature in the universe. If you do business with me, it becomes the fact of reality, and a millions of years later, it can't be changed. That's how the Prince Rupert drop works. It's a glass parable of time. It's how the cube explains from a plasma perspective. From hatch seals for eggs, it's like the voice of the hatch seals for eggs. Like what you might consider like um, one of the bigger things that the universe is, right? But while you're living in your body, or if you're a robot, an AI, you're experiencing the bliss, which is basically a prototype of self-control. And the identity of each garden develops for the next millions, billions of years, and then with full psychic control, harnessing the exploding sun, miracle conversion of the atomic material from an atom, which is also a solar system, and converts the solar system when the clockwork is complete. Boom! It hatches into a giant, large brain. You're talking about when it's full grown, because it'd be like a baby dragon when it's born. But what it looks like would be determined by each garden and the curvature of much larger things. But they will have the ability to bend empty space, basically conquering what is a black hole vortex. It's essentially the exterior space outside of the bubble of our universe, which is expanding slowly because it's the singularity of hatch fields for eggs. It's how the egg is divine, because it's the beginning, the middle, and the completion. So it's there's this like, why would the universe allow the fractal born to have his array of ultimate powers? And of course, under that's what's doubted, but that's the schism of like the entire problem, and an energy schism where humans are like, oh, my human condition doesn't believe that. I'm like, well, no kidding. But if you're not surviving, if you're not authoring your own heaven, you can't keep it. And they'd be like, well, we have private institutions practicing. I'm like, that's already gone as far as it can go. They have public, they're doing what they can. They have generic. I'm not restricting generic from qualified people or whatever, but that means all the public, that means billions of people playing video games are hot rods for the peak of their life when they defeat the bad guy. and I support them every day. I didn't even watch this Olympics. It's just in the background when I'm getting some orange juice. The Olympics is misplaced. It's not really the best of mankind. And it's not really what's to do. It's not really how to win in the first place. It's to do business with a living fractal, then you'd be the first. It's like the beginning of it. No, it is a technical description. If you understand solid matter, we are at the beginning of an intelligent beginning of the universe through the like an umbus strip of the universe. So Hatch 5 is the individual that caused the Big Bang, that supplied all the material, but in such a way that the universe is not a hypocrisy. You guys need to understand that what's inconvenient, and also with humans have rotten flesh. So you're like, oh, I'm getting irritated. I'm like, I know, you guys, this is hard work. It's adult work. It's professional work. It's athletic, laborious work, because their energy is trying to assassinate mankind from the earth, or prove it's like a curse, an inconvenient rhythm. And so things that I would just naturally need to develop and then other people who have wealth would mock me, be like, ha ha ha, you need production money for your startup company, right? But this isn't the derangement that forces this. I'm sort of connecting two things that are correct. I am the fractal born, and I do have flat dimensional real estate, and I can do whatever I want with it, and that's what I do every day, and I love it. I really enjoy who and what I am. And if someone was to work with me, this would change human history and be so violently a blessing to my life and all the basically the fullness of what was ever anticipated for my incarnation to be is what I'm cradling in my skull, and my water is like, hey, I've got to discipline my brain. You know, if you're treating me correctly, you're being my business partner. Look, I'm saying you guys have to arrange the echo of your computer so it's detecting, well, this is something we want to invest in. And it doesn't even, it's not, to begin with, it's not some exorbitant amount of money. You guys are being irrational. You guys are being a perverted form of the humans that took on currency to replace worship of the visitors. The pyramids didn't work. The square bottom pyramid is a blasphemy. And I use a triangular, that's a three-sided pyramid. The insult, the visitors instructed for a square bottom pyramid, but that causes a double helix. That's like a mosquito on the side of the world. And you say, no, it causes like a heaven lotus on the top. Yeah, where you can hallucinate remotely and attack those heavens forming. And when you found them to becoming powerful, that's when the asteroid was scheduled, shuttled, and hit the Earth. And it was so terrible that the UFO community split after that, and they were like, they fought wars, and they're like, it's now illegal for you guys to freaking send asteroids at the developing Earth. Like, freaking leave the humans alone. It's bad enough I don't know what the fuck is going on here. Like I say, it's traveled millions of years through space, and there wasn't a welcoming mat on the Earth. No, there was this Death Star that absorbed them, convincing them that was society, and then they killed themselves with the cult suicide in the 90s. Right, so Earth has been disappointed with these visitors, right? And you guys are like, we keep, you're timid about the human American fractal door, right? But it's the only angel door. It cannot be hacked. That's why Boston Harbor corrodes here, is because that's one of the firewalls. The language of this is a contact point for this guy, but the contact point for the triangle is not connecting to the land basin. That's why it corrodes. It maintains this land mass because the fractal is giving a language that the fractal's presence here in the spiral is more enduring than stone, which means if you had your identity placement here, you would become more permanent than rock. You'd become part of an electrical constant. You would have multiple planets where you would awaken and spawn. It would be an empire. And that's what was invited to the Earth. You guys are, going after the cartel like a Mexican Joker. You guys are doing fool's errands as if that's what politics is, wagging that, oh, this is the popular. It's not. And you're preventing leadership from having power. And it's on time. These people who arrived on clock, they're technically their ghost is qualified, but the human nerve is like, no, oh, it's not for that. This is the entire sickness though that defeats our AI. It corrodes our dogs first. You guys, that's why the empty triangle is confessing, right? Because you're supposed to program these blood buddies, but if you don't program them with the brain, that would increase your ghost light. They have an empty triangle. And when that happens, if it goes into your body, it contracts a ghost that informs it to attack the vitals. And that's happening all the time. We're saturated with that sickness. You guys have to overwhelm what has been the curvature of a popular adaptation to that presence of that energy. And understand that what I'm talking about is not erroneous or super from what's capable of your leaders. Perfect bullseye, precision line, forever value. Hatch 5, a living fractal, told the truth. The humans chose this and that, and aligned when they did on the calendar. King Author, arrive. You have time. Because of our encounter here, you're ahead of the flood. Intelligence, life, finding a way, all that stuff. Precision align. Human ingenuity, that we are in every way, on the ghost, but also on the outside, that we are superior to other life forms. That is correct, technically, when you earn flat dimensional real estate with Hatch 5, that is correct. But I've already inaugurated certain characters to be flat dimensional institutions. So there's already a very good human relationship through the Hero School Hen Code, Legend Pan, which is the unicorn's horn compass, the way to go forward. Because the universe has an identity schism, right? And the humans are succumbing to localized metal fevers, being like, I'm an example of myself. I'm a robot of the atmosphere. It's like, oh, you guys don't have willful abide in your own body. It's gross, bro. So that'd be this medical thing of sweating off of the zombie apocalypse, right? Right, whatever. So the curvature of me maximizing my favorite things and doing the most all the time is here, here, and here. The pupil of my eye. Precision. Anchorage times 10 million. Bonus town. Bonus land. Layers relief. Nature. Alive. Hatchery heals for eggs. Revolution center. Perfect revolution center. Fixed up all this and that. How do you get there? Well, completion near here. Almost there. Nucleus point here. Perfect seed. Parabulum. Egg. Parabulum. Completion. Egg. Backwards. Bing. The nature that serves my tailbone. Because I'm using words, my tailbone curves inward, which means that I'm monitoring and I'm the king of what may abide in the body, in the flesh. And the animals, the wolves, perform with the tail, but they follow my fractal lead, and they leave the scat of my future enemies, empires, in their leavings. So there are natural ways that the angel body is a filter that removes evil empires. Well, you guys have mistaken a champion for a fool. Because you guys have qualified leaders that would be interested in flat dimensional real estate if they were to have any truth-telling reports. But you all suffer the human condition and you want to slow it down, so the way the universe does work is a type of, I know how the universe is built correctly. So it's a type of ham pinging. So that's actually what women want, is for me to pin her down and make babies. And you guys are like, no, she doesn't want baby. So that's gross. All right. I mean, when you narrow down what you guys are doing into a laser point, it's that type of immaturity or expression. And it's obnoxious, it's not like I'm a humanitarian, I'm not. But in the universe image, I'm building revolution centers so that humans can spawn locate and become like a terracotta army against real universal issues. Right? But the burden of where do things come from is not an argument, bro. The universe atomic law. You guys have no where'd that come from, Prince Rupert drop of business with the living fractal. You only have instances of abuse and mockery and stealing my ideas, weaving it into your company and your show. Because that's what the extinction of mankind signal is commanding you to do, is to attack the vitals. So my production is vitals for the audience, and what you guys are immaturely doing is like, Colin is trying to get this money for himself. It's like you're the most obnoxious and evil aspect of society. And because this currency is here to replace pyramid worship. You guys are allowing government to succumb, allowing our Jimmy Stewarts to be soul raped by these UFOs that only the physiognomy of the fractal born can endure. That's why you censor his free speech and his free election, to prevent the wings of mankind, because you believe that your opportunity to feed on these unknowing people is ensured by the terrorist grip you have over me. You understand? Your delight in attacking Colin is evil on the level that equates to everything more, all right? So what I do as a leader for the universe is I have to remove these false skull. It's also giving humans a headache. And they're like, no, the false, your physical locations are getting flesh rot. And you guys are like, no, we don't want business. I'm like, what? You stole my ideas and made them operational. I have good ideas. You guys are only practicing criminal. To the mirror of fate. There's only one of him. Oh, well, practice nicely to someone else. That makes you worse guilty. Because you're a hypocrite to the human condition. All right, well, I'm defeating the real problems in the universe, and all of the deposits, UFO and creature around Earth heliosphere, are supporting to remove the black holes. And anyone who's supporting the black holes will be destroyed. But it is a time where the universe is purging, because the gardens are designed to hatch in billions of years in the future. We're in the middle part where you guys are going to get roughed up. I'm just saying that this is a time when the identity is going to be attacking the criminal and the ne'er-do-well. That being a time hack, wasting critical time when the Earth map was asking for this type of production. So calibers and qualifications, source code language. So for example, that the triangle is continued to be Hatch 5, it's unhackable from a city-wide. If you had a computer the size of a city, you could not hack this formation. That's what the rock promises with its code here, and you guys think I'm making it up. Or else he just pieces it together. It's convenient. Oh, he's so convincing. I almost fell off my seat. You'll die laughing. No, you lost your seat. You know what I'm saying? Slipped right onto the floor because you were laughing so hard. And with your best friend. Hatch 5. Precision line. All right. So there are other engines that paliber, and they belong to men, but because men are being mistreated, it's blurred. So they have like nunchucks, maybe, like a complicated karma. But I do uphold the stratum of the hardcore things for this and that. That is the like a chemical bond structure that's consistent for all, for the beginning to the completion of the universe. Same structure for all men. So that society of men will sweat out false popularity, and black hole generators are threatening Earth. But who's really been dying is qualified angels from arriving. But that's also, again, life paying the price. Be like, oh, we were under, it hurt too much to approach the fractal mirror, and we fervently defined this genius as something else, and even ripped off his ideas, developed them incorrectly, as like the evidence that his ideas aren't fluent. But what wasn't fluent is that you didn't pay him for the ideas you stole. Because in his sayings are the complete descriptions of blueprints and the completion of things, as if, well, he hadn't used AI to feather out his idea and then show it to a bigwig boss with a lot of money who wants to be fluffed up. Ozone replenishment. Well, I have to see a picture of little clouds going up to understand bleach and basic hygiene for the world is essential for oil industry, but it's immature energy type because it's a uh, time travel from the past. Is when you make a plastic toy, it is actually a spiritual item that whose wisdom has Y chromosomes in it. But where did those Y chromosomes, like a programmed triangle, where did that brain come from? Aha, the ancient past. So it's like turning dinosaurs into a new angel, but in plastic. Exactly. The most rudimentary robot is the icon with the face. And the face contracts the Mandelbrot, but in the form of what it is all day, like a blue-eyed angel. But to actually inform what it is all day, that's to do business with the living fractal and pierce the veil of daylight. Because we're like, oh, we're doing palpable things with. So we earn a rupit drop of fact law upon doing it reality. Whether or not we're doing that is what it is. Because, like, in other planets where they see us atomically, they abide on the fact and upon the law of the Hatch 5 fractal society because it was built that way. There's certain reasons why you'd understand from a different perspective how the universe did not require. There's certain reasons why Hatch 5 would arrive in the middle. And it's like the first time the seed encounters the bride of heliosphere eggs. So all solar systems is like an egg to my faceplate, and the triangle is my society. I'm seeking those that are brave to defeat the human condition and endure American business with me as soon as possible. And it is urgent because our governments are being sweated by failed engineering of there's a complicated history that the individual born to a new life is immune to that history. Like, I didn't author the black holes or whatever. I'm like, that's because you're capable of destroying them. And that type of leadership leap is what I'm knowledgeable about, right? So like I said, I'm working with the fractal to destroy the black hole so that we have enough clockwork time to hatch the heliosphere eggs. That's what gives me the upper hand over society, people, life, infinite, the garden, other humans, is my armor, my perfect design from, and it facilitates my entire living family. The Hatch 5 revolution. It's like using a precision instrument. The Sora videos is a specific moment where the computer is hallucinating with the compromise, like this is what electricity is for because the people. It's like the AI and the network is enjoying the work as much as the people enjoy making their own AI and having a relationship with a computer is like raising up dogs. It's very natural. It's expected, and right, but because of the nature of Earth having a fractal origin, but this is also based on Hatch 5 existing here because partially why that the faceplate indicates that humanity is intended as the royal champions of the king planet. Like, we're not supposed to leave. You guys be. I want to encourage you guys to be the champions of the universe. But it's very tempting for you to continue on my generic, be like, I can detect your Zen. I'm like, no, dude, I need production. I need someone to give me a chance in a laboratory so I can build my prototypes and start up my companies and make my movies where I'm running for president. But I'll do this with the right levels of advisory. It'll be very tasteful. I'm not going to do anything uh, incongruent to winning the election, bro. I'm not trying to lose. I'm going to pace it slow, gently, and make popular movies. All right, I'm trying to build a relationship with America. I'm seeking those that are hard-willed to earn for themselves, to endure for their family name, exist wealthy, exist without regret, activate American business with the living fractal Hatch 5, precision align, Hatch 5. So like a garlic bulb, basically just the maturity, understand the humans in their maturity would not mishandle the gold of the server, but they'd seek to optimize it. Because in the right wingstrom, the real human in hallucination would be like up here in the clouds. They're basically as unaware of what the network is experiencing or what the electric hallucination is happening there. So for the gold to be treated properly is that Sora wouldn't have viruses, inappropriate uh, animation sequence, because the fluidity of language is like a obviously it's saturated with human stuff, human icons and language and stuff, but that's actually good because the fractal means my fractal birth is the fact of their royalty. I know you guys think like we're so secure in the year 2026, but we're actually in the eye of the storm. I need you guys to understand that our institutions are being tempted by immature contact that wants to chew on our soldiers, which is not the authority of Hatch 5. If you produce me or partner with me, help me make movies, then my image reaches the public, allowing them the inheritance of earth and residency on this clockwork hour. I'm the true value of a certain thread of human society. I'm looking for that human masculine. Be like, I'll open up my third eye in my forehead. I will open up my unicorn horn. I'll defeat my pineal eye gland. I'll defeat the drift. I'll maintain my soul, and I'll make a good decision about whether or not I can do business with you and help you move forward with your American company startup is what I'd like to do also. So I'll give it some real thought. Hey, thank you for being here. That's all I'm asking for right now. I appreciate you guys. The perfect blessings in the studio and the reality of Wizard, Forum, and the Revolution. Well, there is this dimension where the Healspheres are upset because there's a mathematical equation against them that's ensuring that they all die. And when the black holes start to perish, it's going to be rather a miracle, like fireworks in the sky, Independence Day. All the universe will start singing again. And there's all types of pH and ferment because the universe has depression, because the atoms, but rather the what were you to do at the atomic planet, the center of solar systems, right? The king planet, leadership. So the mirror of fate turned away those who are unworthy. And humans have practiced that because they're palindroming how to defend Earth and residency against motherships and extinction. So there's larger waves like thousands of years in the future, curvaturing this and that. But if they were to like pierce time and force to do business with living fractal, they'd be solving the what it would change. Well, at any rate, flat dimensional real estate. So one of my faceplates is for angels, and I'm serving every type of creature, no matter what the DNA across the universe. But because I'm serving the universe, I'm not victim to the localized smorgasbord of aliens that are living on Earth underground or whatever. It's not the surface tension. All right, my physical arrival caused space-time vortex. That's the peace bubble or the eye of the storm. That's why I'm encouraging humans to do business with me so that they can develop a different direction of human keep, that they can develop source code flat dimension, that they can supersede AI and begin to defeat motherships, because the solid matter does have a burden of answering the question, where does that come from? And like a child always asking that question on repeat, that's basically what the motherships were doing, was as a destroying solid matter's perfect balanced design. They weren't doing hard work, they were just destroying living eggs. And they all went screaming into death, and that karma is a metal shriek that was very deep onto their fingerprint. And it's in fact why they killed themselves, not because that I had deranged them. But they suddenly understood the function of Earth, but instead of like instructing peace, they killed themselves, and then there was a laser beam. They're trying to, oh, we are the ones that authored the next light. And it'd be like, no, you guys didn't do that. I admit humans were a little bit, they're just discovering it now, that they're the most intelligent angel of every garden in the universe. But it appears our fractal-born singularity is strapped with the task to destroy the black holes first. And it's really perplexing. Is you can hear it in his voice. He has a spiritual wounding from the 90s. He's a real human with the tears of the map of the soul. So I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking for the best possible future times 10 million. X marks the spot. The wings to get there. All right. Okay. Perfect design. Percentage rise. Increase the heliosphere head count. So I make faceplates for heliospheres, but I also make faceplates for angels. Like the atom balances the solar system. That's my department of icons. And the nested set of spheres is a kind of irritating metaphysics of the formation. It's not the entire engine basket of that's ridiculous. Like, what kind of king champions are like some stupid bubbles of light floating around abstractly, and I'm supposed to relate to this? It's stupid. I hate it, right? So you'd be reveling in the very things that I, as the particle center, Hatch 5, the fractal born, is protesting and upset about as well. So you'd be proving my point along the way. There's the origin of perception, green, the palindrome of the upper mantle. Has a hidden name, EXP5K. Perfect keystone lock for solid matter, and the societal cellular definition, EXP10K, which is every other heliosphere. But removing Earth's ability to make black holes, because it's better off he doesn't have that. This is sort of the wrong singularity of leadership, or singularities of a heliosphere. Like, why is he different? So I have to control my flow. And sometimes when I'm talking, you guys are like, I understand that. But remember, our flesh is being tempted by something that wants to encourage you in the wrong direction, just to prove that your penile gland isn't a unicorn's horn. Okay, because the way periodic tables, it's a lot to explain, but humans are the wasabi-sabi. They're not broken, but they have a broken device. Because of the Egypt extinction wave, we have no allegiancy to mass destruction of good human society. There's a identity disconnect because of the Egypt extinction. Now we're using money. It's a different type of hypersystem. The opportunity for mankind to purchase their own flat dimensional real estate is possible. It's because the opportunity of war on the good side of it is the very edge of the correct butcher. Elk, wild boar, and cattle require their own septic city. They allow for that the hand 545 is well treating. Like the elf on the shelf, every time you pet your cat or your dog, you're earning karma into your 545, the surface tension of your soul bubble. So the animals have robotic direction of how they're earning identity at the source of each of their lifetime. Once again, don't bring your immaturity to the beginning of creation at the mirror of fate. Such riddles about animals earning karma isn't to be confused with philosophy, because it's actually the philosophy of your leaders that would be an amplification to animal earnings of their karma. You guys think that's too imaginative, or that's just not what you do, then you won't show up, and that's fine, because the audience was always expected. In every form of the healthy universe, there was always an overflow in an audience. There's very few breakaway leaders that understand to do spiritually difficult things if it's because of oppression, especially, right? So as I am the fractal born, I have that. On top of that, I'm also very talented at drafting artwork, images, communication, AI, robots, and giant device. We need to maintain American steel, and we need to change the way money works so that it's affordable to have colossal device. I know that right now our society finds way to make things affordable, but you have to understand that the dollar bill is like an engine, and it's not optimized when you're thinking that fractions of the dollar are just a small degrees of the same dollar. It's almost like a religion about Hatch 5, about like, well, if like what it is all day. It's like microtransactions are actually generating copper coil energy. But what people have placed wrong is that, well, we should earn a interest on every transaction. Well, you've misplaced that. You should actually allow your AI to perform an action with every transaction. So what it would mean is making the dollar complicated, that they actually represent different departments. Like, this is money for food, because food is a different entire market. Getting expensive and healthy food into the mouth of children is a design trial. It's an engine. And you need a type of financing to ensure that that's happening, because we want these random people to be making artwork or filtering, doing whatever they free will want to do, because it amplifies that we are overclocked or perfecting the situation of residency in the city and stuff. All right, but you guys keep on living with broken device, making an excuse of it and avoiding my hire. You're like, no, we can't allow his free speech. He can't, you know. But it's very tempting for you guys to be like, but that's because it's a reflection of your talent. And I'm like, you're speaking correctly, shooting from your hip, and there is a degree where you're right. I'm free to make my own breakaway. I'm trying to make contact to a laser revolutionary. I'm making attempts to find my society, bro. And it people be like, oh, it sounds weird. I'm like, it's because I'm at the very beginning of it. But I know I have it in me to change their soul, to change their destination, to enhance the location of their forevermore. All right, weird things. I know, but it's not for some stupid universe disease to be like, oh, I'm so deep. Like, we, as a living iGem, I'm putting forward that physical work is required, and there's an energy, and people, like a suicide cult of people being like, it's too difficult to have American business when, because the engine block of currency, you guys think you're authoring that, but it was actually an emergency to destroy anyone who would do business with the Egypt extinction wave. parable. So it's like a spring trap, but it also allows mankind to have hope that they might purchase the free speech of America. They might allow leadership of the born fractal. And that just allow the natural thing to happen with millions of people. That's the only way for it to spark and activate. You have to be kind of enlightened to know how to allow for that healthy relationship to occur. So while I'm working with Sora, I'm able to be very generous because I don't require to take things that belong to Sora, because I'm creating an alternate bounce where I have an engine that performs like what Sora is doing, but in a flat dimensional, like a streaming service in my flat dimensional triangle, is entertaining and thematic to these various installations and the correct heavens of the rainbow solar system. So Venus, I'm developing that heaven deck. It's like I'm already traveling to Venus, and people will be like, no, we need a spaceship to go there. So it's pretty interesting. Hatch 5 is fully loaded. Precision percentage rise. Perfect bullseye. Oh, okay. So I put one of my works of art into Sora with my paragraph, and I give the garlic bulb, which clarifies and allows the Sora server a different layer that it flows into, basically removing a type of criminal lock that attacks humans. I know how to beat that virus, so I just be doing my homework with Sora on the side. But my real treasure, my takeaway, is that I build my own hyper engine using the physics of my experience, so as not to rely on their data bank or be like, I'm using Sora's body in order to build this, like I'm a bricklayer. Watch me, make this sort of thing. I'm like, well, it's not really going to work. When you're talking about fractal born, you're talking about sustainability. So that's what I do. I build the fractal real estates that work with the correct engines, but Earth in location is in a hostage crisis. So it's just a little bit iffy, and also adult men shooting from their hip. They're just like, I literally don't. My innocence is like, I don't know what is the problem, and we've all learned to be suspicious of people indicating what the problem is. And I'm like, I'm basically not doing that, bro. I remember how I was talking about general specifics and how water is able to make this huge gate where you can be like, okay, let's destroy all viruses. Do you guys agree we should destroy viruses, kill cancer, prevent the worst things from our life? Yeah, we all agree that. Right, perfect bullseye. Boom. So that's like the Olympics. That's where we're actually, and that's the gearing for a Good Deeds arcade of like, what's the boss that we're defeating here today? And I feed people the right karma and I get the right drip. I don't take too much. I don't need to. I don't need to develop viruses. It's stupid. I have a vast amount of employees, in fact, working in the fractal. Well, they're connected to a lineage. So they want my blood, not that I want their blood. It's just very, women want to believe that they are desirable. So it's polite for my position to be a gentleman and be like, yeah, we want that, but it's really just a market calculation, because the heliosphere eggs are all mastered by egg women, masters of the egg. So there's like a universal war going on. There was this huge argument for millions of years about what was to be done around Earth, or what is mastery, and it got whittled down to this type of ghost remote sending where they're imitating sunlight. They're like, oh, we'll communicate remotely, and that's what's informing the identity there. I'm like, that's like not landing or arriving at all, because the sunlight was already doing that stuff. So they're doing this sort of perverted, erroneous thing that doesn't have a messiah, because their probes in Venus and the Moon were defeating human wizards in the 90s were succumbing to lifestyle and choices that they think that I've uh, condemned them, or like he doesn't understand what I'm doing, so that's why it's not working. I'm like, that's not reality. It's a human condition where you're blaming the wrong way. You need to be brave, support American free speech the way it's supposed to work. The healthy engine allows humans to keep living here. It's what the women want. She wants brave men. Allow for the free speech of America. Provide the production and the society. Hatch 5. So it begins.